Welcome to our screencast on the end of the empire. I'm Miss Pellegrino.
And I'm Mr. Driscoll.
Let's get started. Although emperors used control and coercion to keep the empire functioning, migrating Germanic tribes took control of the Western Roman Empire.
Okay, one thing we have to keep in mind is that the entire empire didn't fall. Okay, actually, only the western part of the Roman Empire fell. The eastern survived, and we'll get more into that later in the screencast.
Two emperors attempted to save the declining empire by changing the government structure, economic and social systems, and by implementing Christianity as the new state religion.
Okay, the two leaders' names were Diocletian and Constantine, and this whole era was known as the late Roman Empire.
Diocletian split the empire into 4 regions, each with its own ruler.
Okay, even though he... I'm recording. Oh my God. Yes. Okay, even though he split the empire up with these military rulers, he still retained the ultimate power. And the way he did this was because he kept most of the military loyal to him, and he also had the largest military out of all the different regions.
Constantine created a new capital city in the east called Constantinople that became the new Rome in the Eastern Roman Empire.
Okay, the reason they wanted to set up this new Rome in the east was for defensive reasons, and a lot of this was because they were afraid of invaders coming from the east, which would inevitably happen anyway. But this was to set up an eastern frontier or a barrier of protection against the western part of the empire.
Diocletian's and Constantine's reforms enlarged the army and the civil service, which drained most of the public funds. Spending large amounts of money to save the empire hurt the Roman economy.
Okay, and it wasn't just simply spending a lot of money. Part of the problem was the population wasn't increasing anymore. You can spend more money when you increase the tax base, but when the tax base stays the same or decreases, meaning less people that are paying it, and you spend more money, if you just do the simple math, it doesn't add up.
The Roman Empire was divided into 2 parts. Rome was the capital of the Western Roman Empire, and Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. The Huns moved into Eastern Europe and pushed the Germanic Visigoths into Western Roman Empire. The Visigoths were initially Roman allies, but revolted. They sacked the Roman capital in 410 AD.
Okay, and the Visigoths weren't the only Germanic tribe. There was another one that would eventually attack Rome as well, and those were the Vandals, but they would attack from a different route.
The Vandals spread into Spain and North Africa. They captured Rome in 455 AD.
Okay, a lot of the modern words are derived from Vandals, such as vandalize and the word vandal itself. And the reason that those terms are for the reputation that the Vandals had as being a ruthless tribe that as they went through, they would just massacre the local populations. Now, a lot of that, I'm sure, is embellished in the Western history. That's where those words actually derived from.
When we look at this map here, the first thing we should look at is the key. You'll see that the Western Roman Empire is in orange, the Eastern Roman Empire is in green, the Huns' path is in purple, the Vandals' path is in blue, and the Visigoths' path is in green, light green.
Okay, if we can take a closer look at the actual paths, we can see that the Huns, they are the purple line here, they came in from Asia, and they actually pushed the existing Germanic tribes to the west and to south. The first group that attacked Rome was actually the Visigoths, and they came down through Italy. The other group who we mentioned second, the Vandals, they went down through Spain and actually attacked north, almost the opposite direction of when we talked about the Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage. They came from the other direction, up from Africa into Italy.
In 476 AD, the Western Emperor Romulus Augustus was deposed by the Germanic army. The year AD 476 is considered the end of the Western Roman Empire.
Okay, even though Rome fell, these areas did end up creating kingdoms later on in European history. They were succeeded a succession of many Germanic kingdoms, some of them which later became what we now know today as France, Spain, and England. It took several centuries to get to that point. But that is the legacy of this conflict.
The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, continued to thrive.
Okay, and actually the capital of Constantinople, that would survive for several hundred years until finally falling to the Ottoman Empire, which changed the name to Istanbul.
Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul and Constantinople. Been a long time gone, Constantinople, now it's church delight on a moonlit night. Every gal in Constantinople lives in Istanbul and Constantinople. So if you've a date in Constantinople, she'll be waiting in Istanbul. Even old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. People just liked it better that way. So take me back to Constantinople. No, you can't go.
All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.